Do you know someone in your life who cannot stop drinking or can't stop using drugs? They started using drugs or drinking. Now they can't stop. They're burning their life to the ground. They don't even seem happy, but they just won't stop. Or maybe you're finding yourself in a situation where someone else has asked you, why can't you just stop? You just need to stop. And then you probably got defensive when they asked you that because you don't know why either. You don't want to be doing what you're doing. You don't want to be trapped in this miserable cycle, but you don't know why either. You can't stop. First and foremost, there is a way out. If you're the person struggling with this, or if you know someone struggling with addiction, there is a way out. It's not a super easy road out of it, but it's very, very, very possible from experience, as I'm a recovering alcoholic. So I wanted to shed some light on that question of why, because I feel like it's still really misunderstood that some people truly don't know how to stop. As much as they might want to, it is extremely difficult because it to that point, it's affected your brain chemistry, your physical body being dependent, and emotions, like all sorts of stuff. So hope to shed a little bit of light on that. We'll start with a little bit of how I started drinking. Some people start when they're pretty young, depending on their family or their social environment around them at that time. I didn't start drinking until I was probably around 17 or 18. I went to college when I was 17. At that time, it was very casual. If I even did for a couple weeks, maybe a month, it wasn't really something I did on a regular basis. It was just very casual, social. I did it at some, college parties or dinners or something like that. Very casual. I turned 21, and then it was legal for me to go have a drink out at places, right? So the dynamic obviously changed when I turned 21. But fast forward to my late 20s, around 30, and I was drinking every day, all day, and miserable and isolated. And nothing in my life was going well. Nothing. I was burning my life to the ground on a regular basis, but I kept doing it. And let me tell you what, it was not fun. It was not fun. It was miserable. But long story short, hopefully this will help it make more sense. I had to learn this for it to make sense to me. So what a lot of people don't know is that genetically, some people are more predisposed to becoming an addict or an alcoholic. And what I didn't know in those earlier years was that I had other alcoholics in my family genetics. I didn't understand that when I was growing up. I didn't really know that was a thing. I didn't know that. Anyway, I didn't know it was a thing, but it is. So if you have a family history of something, for example, breast cancer. If you have a family history of breast cancer, most people take the necessary steps to go to the doctor, do preventative maintenance care. It's similar for addicts and alcoholics. You can have a family genetic disposition to being affected by addiction. Another one is your environmental influences. So the people you're around, your home environment. Drinking or using drugs or not, is your environment toxic? Is it mentally and emotionally toxic for you to be in that? I know that I grew up not really knowing how to regulate my emotions, and I didn't really understand how to use coping skills. That's something that I've learned through getting sober. And I continue to learn those things because life still happens, and it's still not sunshine and rainbows because I'm sober. That's not the truth. It's not the case. Everything is much better. My worst day is far times better than, for the most part, than my days drinking, but life still happens. So learning to sit in your emotions and regulate your emotions, learning how to feel shitty and then pick yourself back up. Those are things that I didn't really understand or learn how to do, and in the midst of my drinking getting worse and worse and worse and worse, it was not on my priority list to do that. I just wanted to continue numbing all the bad feelings. And mental health is another one. So addiction and mental health go so hand in hand from everything I see in my recovery network and that I saw in myself. To mental disease. If our mental health is not great, and we're in a cycle of addiction anyway, it's just a downward spiral. We're going to numb all the bad things we feel. We're going to keep picking up a substance. And then more and more our body becomes physically dependent on whatever we're using. So it's not like someone can, if you're trapped in this daily cycle of addiction and someone's like, why don't you just stop? Well, part of it is that when someone is that trapped in it and they just stop, their body can go into shock. That's why medical detox can be so important, so that your body is kept safe while you're detoxing off of a substance. Like, it's that big of a deal. So I know in my experience, I was on a certain medication when I was going in to stop. When I just didn't drink. I was cold turkey, sorry, been to Kentucky a lot lately. Cold turkey, not drinking. That sent my body into shock. I had shakes, you have terrible headache, you feel sick, you just don't feel right because your body's been so used to depending on that as part of their daily intake. And I was on a certain medication in detox because I was prone to having seizures. When you just stop some of these things, you're prone to having a seizure, your body going into shock. Like, it's a big deal. It's sometimes it's so far gone that you can't just stop without some very risky side effects. So there's another part of it. Talking about the chemical imbalance in your brain. So dopamine. When you start to use a substance, when you feel shitty, when you feel bad, when you don't know what to do about something, you're happy, you're celebrating something, you're upset, you're sad, the substance, for me it was drinking, starts to be something that I celebrated with, I was upset with, I sat in my room and isolated with it. So it was just something that was always there, right? And it helped me not have to feel all the emotions I didn't want to feel. So then my brain started recognizing that as dopamine immediately. That's where cravings come from. You stop drinking stop drinking, right? If you're in the middle of drinking, stop drinking. A lot of people are like, oh, I just want to have a drink. Like, you start craving it because your brain is telling you, I know that's a really quick way for a hit of dopamine in my brain, the happy chemical, the one that makes you happy, the one that makes you feel better. Dopamine. Your brain's like, ooh, just do that. More dopamine. Ooh, do that. Take that drink. Do that. Whatever. That's going to give me the dopamine, right? Your brain's trying to help you. It doesn't really know that it's actually ruining your life. It's just trying to help you get some more of the things that have given you dopamine quickly in the past. So recovery starts with detoxing safely. And I can't stress that enough, because trying to do it at home, which I've done unsuccessfully, obviously, I've tried it at home, and then immediately my brain's like, you just need whatever, dopamine, fix me. I know it can fix me, because it's been, it's what I've been doing for so many years. But detoxing safely is a safe way for you to get everything out of your system, make sure your body doesn't go into shock, you're monitored, and then you can start healing. Your body can start to feel better. It won't at first, but it will start to feel better. Mentally, you can start to have more clarity in your thoughts, and you can start to feel what you're feeling. That's one of the greatest parts of getting sober. One of the hardest too is that you start feeling all your feelings. Raw dog in reality over here. But that's why being sober, honestly, it is a superpower, because you learn and you go through things, and you can get through anything. You really can. You really can. It's possible. It's hard, but it's possible, and it's amazing once you're on the other side. So then once you're detoxed safely, you want to start rewiring your brain. All those pathways that have been saying, just have another drink. Dopamine, you'll feel better. Have another drink. You won't have to worry about it. Everything's fine. You start to rewire those pathways. That's called neuroplasticity. And what that means is all the pathways that are all messed up and wired in your brain right now, telling you what's going to make you feel better, telling you to do all these things that really are ruining your life. You're able to, over time and over practice and over with patience and with trying new things and with journaling, meditating, writing, learning, you can rewire your brain into not asking you to pick up that drink and drug anymore for dopamine. You can find your happiness and peace and dopamine in other things. You can. It's scary and it's a lot at first, but just give it some time and trust the process, and you can. And you won't think about doing those things anymore. Over time, you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to go for a walk. Sounds simple, but actually it does give me pleasure to take my dogs on a walk these days. When before they would be in the house all the time because I was not a good dog mom when I was drinking. So yeah, so taking away the substances, we're going to detox, get our body good to go safely. Rewiring our brain, finding different ways to bring dopamine into our body naturally, going to the gym, eating better. Simple as meditation. Meditation is so important. I thought it was, blah, 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 whatever. At first, I really did. And now it's seriously the way that I get answers to my prayers. So, meditating, journaling, recreating a support system, building a support system in recovery, possibly changing your environment, changing where you live, changing where you work, changing your friends, creating new habits. All of these I did. All of them. Because I didn't want to risk anything that I thought could cause a risk for me to relapse. I changed it. Where I live is different. Where I work is different. The people I'm around are different. That's huge. The boundaries I have with people are different. Everything's different. And that doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. It could be a really exciting thing to let go of the control and be like, okay, what's going to be the best next step for me? I'm excited to see what it is. Well, I hope that kind of helped understand the question of why. If you know someone who's struggling with being trapped in that cycle of addiction, they don't want to be there. Trust me, they don't want to be there. The best thing you can do is love them without judgment and maybe encourage them to seek help. Asking for help when you're that deep into an addiction is one of the scariest things that person might ever have to do in their whole life, because it's putting their deepest, darkest secrets out there, and it's causing immediate accountability from the people that they love and possibly letting them down, when in reality that's what you want them to do, right? But less judgment, more love, because whatever they're thinking makes sense in their brain in the middle of an addiction that just in reality doesn't make sense. To them, it makes sense. To them, whatever crazy thought they're having in their head, as crazy as it might be, if they're in the middle of that cycle, to them, it truly makes sense. So give them a little bit of grace. If you are struggling with this and you're like, God, I just want to stop doing this, ask for help. I could give you a million tips on what to do and all the things you can do to try to help mentally and physically feel better. The most important step that you can take right now is to ask someone for help. It's possible. It is possible, I promise you. I hope you all have a great day. Please, this is a new channel. I'm just starting out. I don't really know where I'm going with it. I'm just trying to spread some information out there to hopefully help others trying to get sober. So if you could like this video and subscribe, that would be awesome. It would just help me know that, maybe it helps somebody, maybe someone's listening, and I'd like to make more to share. So have a wonderful day, and I'll come back and pop another video out there soon.